Are we ready? Hello, welcome to the programme. Here we are, Whaley tonight, live until 2, and tonight talking about heavy metal. And if you have any views on heavy metal music, whether it has a link with Satanism or not, you can call us now. The phone number coming up on the screen as I speak. There we are. Give us a call. Pick up the telephone now. Before we do all that, I thought we'd look at some of the news items we may have missed, because, of course, we were off the air for Easter. And what more appropriate time could there have been, of course, for the reappearance of the Son of God. Those who have patiently been waiting years for the second coming were somewhat sceptical when they discovered that he and his support group were all wearing turquoise anoraks, thus looking more like designer train spotters than saviours of the world. It is funny. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Presumably the family Ike, or as we should now call them, the family God, thought that if they wore white robes and sandals, nobody would take them seriously. It seems that John Major has had the same trouble as well. He was quoted by his biographer as saying, "Oh, it's useless trying to talk to you." Words addressed not to his waxwork image of Madame Tussauds, which has been criticised by some for having too much personality to be realistic, nor even to Margaret Thatcher, who, of course, has found a new niche in her life. A caring image is being made for her. She's busy packing up food parcels for the Kurds. No, the words were addressed... Please, I'm reading. It was very serious, OK? Just keep it under. The words were addressed to his daughter, who, during the leadership election, had said, "If he becomes Prime Minister, I'll shoot myself." I don't know that she talks like that, but I thought it might add to this story. Those words, of course, had already been attributed to Mr. Neil Kinnock, though in his case, presumably, the shot would have caused a wound in his foot. Mr. Major's wife, Norma, on the other hand, has said of her husband that he seemed like quite a nice chap, but is inclined to throw his weight about, but in the nicest possible way. Perhaps this accounts for reports that he is very tired. Further light was thrown on what the Prime Minister might think is the nicest possible way to throw one's weight about when he was visited by Sue Lawley for her new series, Wogan, with one guest and no music. On her arrival, the Prime Minister's first words were, "Come in, let's go upstairs." The viewing public's expectations were dashed when they realised that it was simply a ploy to get her upstairs to where they had positioned the waxworks image for the interview. Neil Kinnock has been in the news too. His claims to more closely represent the man in the street were not improved when it became apparent that he actually was the man in the street. Being involved in punch-ups on the front bench are one thing. Punch-ups on your own front doorstep are quite another. But newspaper claims that Mr. Kinnock was dragged through a hedge backwards were entirely without foundation. Well, almost. In fact, he was just getting fed up with his new, sober-suited, "I can be a statesman too" image, and reverting to his old-style preparation for public debates. All that's to come, but I thought we'd start with a quick look at a few things. Just excuse me one moment. To his foot. The nicest possible way. Image of that. Ah, yes, OK. But newspaper claims that Mr. Kinnock was dragged through... No, we've done that. Hang on, just a moment. Yeah, it's very embarrassing on a live show when you drop the script on the programme. You don't know what to do except say, "I think we're ready to rock. Roll titles." Let me ask you, have you ever thought about the sort of the black magic side of this sort of music?
I think you grow out of it eventually, just listen to the music.
Just music, yeah.
You like the music?
Yeah, it's all right. Or the Satanic, it's just like bother.
Are you a Satan worshipper?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's music, isn't it? It's just something to sing about. I mean, Top of the Pops, I like to sing about love and everything.
Yeah.
It's boring.
I just like the music, so I could sing.
You like the music?
Well, death metal, man, death metal.
I am actually a fan, but I'm actually waiting to meet a friend who's supposed to be here at 8 o'clock and he's...
OK, well, we're back in the studio. I don't know... oh, we're back over here. Hello, nice to see you. Very good indeed. OK, we've got people all over the place tonight. Mr. John Walters, well-known, famed Radio 1 producer, TV critic.
TV owner. I've got a TV.
You've got your own TV
yes,
station?
Two. Yes,
I
yes,
see.
yes,
That's good.
Right, yeah.
And
two sets.
music entrepreneur, I suppose. I still can't find the last page of that thing. I don't know where that went. Anyway, now, actually, John, you were the person who first introduced Black Sabbath on stage, weren't you?
No. No,
you
but
do
I'll
that?
tell you what I was.
What? Go
No,
on,
no.
tell me.
John Peel was doing a gig in Birmingham at a club called, I think it's called the Opposite Lot, when he came
Yeah.
out and said, 1969, I think it was, and he said we'd had Led Zeppelin on the programme, and I produced a session with him, and he says, there's a band that, it's not quite like that, but it's similar, and they're really going mad about them in Birmingham. We got them down, and I produced what must have been, I think, their only Radio 1 session when they were going 20 years ago, because, like most of these geezers, they're all getting on for middle age now, you know.
Well, all the heavy metal music.
A lot of them are, yeah. It's like Cliff, only more animated, you know. You'll know when they die, you know, that sort of thing, because they'll stop.
What
Cliff hasn't.
Cliff hasn't.
Yeah.
God bless him. What a lovely man and lovely. Yes. Okay. What's the difference between heavy, thrash metal, death metal? I mean, what are all these different sort of?
Well, I don't know all about it. We don't use much on the Peel show. You see, the trouble is with the whole metal business, as I say, fine, we did like Led Zeppelin, which I did, and Black Sabbath, that sort of thing. Then we went on to other things. Now, down the corridor from me at Radio 1 is Tommy Vance's programme, Tony Wilson's produced for many years. That's the home of the metal. I get out the lift.
You just fancy coming up here to do the show, I see.
Yeah,
yes,
no,
of
this
course.
Has been
No,
going
I
on
don't,
for about,
I don't mind.
Wait a minute, going on for about 20 years, and they keep saying they're listening to new records. They're all sat there going, Papa. It's the same riff, a sort of... And then
again, that's nice.
I'll do it again in a minute. Yeah, I will do it in a minute.
We're holding on for it.
But yeah, hold on, everybody.
Okay.
And they then do the same. It's all about being confused. And they go, I'm so confused! Like that. No, they just... Now, that's the...
That was good.
That's the thing, because the one thing they're not is confused. Because they're really conservatives. They've been doing the same thing for 20 years. Nothing wrong with that. But it's just really like, might as well be skiffle. It keeps on going on. They're good, simple boys who keep doing the same thing. But it's not so much... When we heard Led Zeppelin first, we said, hey, this is a kind of development from rhythm and blues. This is like rhythm and woos, as you might say.
But this
same
is the
rhythm and plenty of woos.
The most popular music amongst its fans in the country, isn't it? There are more people buying heavy metal music than anything else.
Yeah, but country and western is the most popular music among its fans, obviously. It's like country and western. It's not fashionable, you know what I mean? And people say, oh, this is for thickos. But it's not for thickos, it's for very simple people who like simple things. Look, the big magazine they usually read is called Kerrang! Because when you hit that guitar, it goes Kerrang! Like
I'm glad you explained that, because I think
imagine if you had, let's say, a nudist magazine, like from our youth, like Health and Efficiency, and it was called...
John, just hang on to it there. That's good. That's good. Okay, we're going to see a bit of heavy metal now. Judas Priest, and their new one is called Touch of Evil. There we are. That was Judas Priest and Touch of Evil, which is quite a strange video, really. John, I mean, I like rock, and I'm wondering if it's because it all does sound fairly similar that it pleases me. It all is very similar, isn't it?
And it used to be kind of rebellion, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and it's odd. But as people have got older, you see, it used to be, years and years ago, before your time, because I'm, you know, old enough to be your father, but I mean, people like Adam Faith used to do those songs, Wish You Wanted My Love, Baby. And mums and dads would say, what's he bloody singing about? What's all that fairy nonsense? But now, Dad plays the guitar, and it's difficult to kick over the traces. And I think they're really not rebelling so much, you know what I mean? They're getting into that thing, and that's why a lot of this satanic stuff's coming in. It's difficult to shock anymore.
You can't do a Cliff Richard impersonation while we're on with this sort of stuff, can you?
I could look dead if you like.
Ooh. You were talking actually earlier, we got a number of letters. Thank you for all the letters. We probably won't have time to get to too many, but we had a guy called Craig from Kerrang! Magazine wrote into us, and Craig says, Dear Whaley, I'll get straight to the point. I'm a rock journalist from the heavy metal magazine Kerrang! As John said, the reason for it being the music or the sound of the guitar. I have grown used to the prejudiced views of some people against the genre. Sounds like a rock journalist, doesn't he? In particular, the views of certain religious groups. I would be grateful, he says, if you would point out the fact that both the Catholic Church and the Church of England have been responsible for heinous acts of genocide and torture in the name of their faith, their own particular way of worshipping the same God. I don't really see, Craig, what that has to do with anything, but still, thank you very much indeed. Martin Chapman from Lancashire says, the music is made up of really heavy riffs, so you can't exactly sing I'm Singing in the Rain. I bet John Walters could if he tried, actually. He says, to the music of, say, bands like Slayer or Metallica, they do seem to have some strange names.
What? Names
Slayer
of bands?
and Metallica and...
That's not what it's about, is it? They're trying to do something sharp. I once spent an evening, which I bet you can't say, I spent an evening watching Angela Rippon's bum.
You watch Come Dancing. I watch Come Dancing too. I want you to know
I've been
that
watching
Latin
it tonight, right?
that Latin American
Filth,
stuff.
isn't it?
Ooh.
Oh, my
Anyway,
Lord.
yeah.
But it was a band. It was a sort of not heavy metal band, but it was a skinhead band. But I quite enjoyed it. It was one of those bands that just did a lot of box for 7 beats and then a breath in. Can I do it? Or
Yeah,
not?
go on, go on.
One of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's nice.
Now,
very nice. I like that.
Somebody could say that's satanic, or they could say it's, I don't know, could be religious. We don't know what it
We're going to
was.
look into that. We have a
like the noise
man
it
of,
makes.
a man of God, the white one. No, not David Icke. Before you think a little bit later on. Let's take some calls. Nigel from London. Hello, Nigel.
Yeah, hello.
Hello,
Yeah, James.
Yes, Nigel.
Yeah, well, we've
You
got...
sound like a heavy metaler, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're from the Grim Reapers down in Strand. We play around Hudson and all that. We think it's really out of order.
You think what's out of order?
Well, all this Satanism and all
Yeah,
that.
okay, good. Thanks very much indeed. Do they all sound like that? Do they actually, is it the voice developed, do
Well,
you think?
that's when they're talking, and then when they're singing.
Yeah, okay. I didn't say that, John said that. Right, Dave from the West Midlands, are you a heavy metal
It's
fan,
always
Dave?
the West Midlands.
Yeah, hello there, James.
Yes, Dave.
Hello there. Yeah, I'm a mobile DJ, and I'd just like to say, James... to be
Sorry,
honest
Dave,
with you-
slower for John and I getting on a little bit and, you know, just take it nice and easy. You're a...
Yeah, mobile DJ.
Yes, okay.
I'd just like to say that
He's
I do a
what?
lot of rock gigs.
A mobile DJ.
Yeah.
Most of them are quite mobile.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
they still
mobile.
get about.
Yeah.
Even Simon Bates, the old Zimmer frame. you know.
They're the best type of people to play to. They really are. I have more trouble doing weddings.
Well, you stay away from weddings. I've always said weddings are more trouble. Right. Steve from Coventry, same sort of area. This is a very popular area for heavy
it's a
metal,
big
apparently.
place.
Castle Donington and so on and so forth. Right, Steve, hello.
Morning, James.
Yes, Steve.
I've got a little story, right? My
You-
cousin, he was a heavy metaler, right, about 5 years ago. And he was listening to all this heavy metal music, right? Had his heavy metal bike. And all of a sudden, he went down to Stonehenge, you know, on his witchcraft and all that.
Yeah.
And we ain't seen him for 5 years.
Well, listen, you're very lucky. I sometimes wish I could say the same. No, I don't. I love my brother dearly. But thank you very much indeed, Steve. We're going to take some more calls a little later. Are all heavy metalers like this?
They're a little bit like that. I said they're quite a good-hearted, simple bunch of people.
Okay. Now we've got some videos and some things to give away, and we'll try and squeeze it into the program a little later on. But now we'll take a break. Very nice indeed. Welcome back. Now, here we are live in Leeds tonight, and you see behind me here some heavy metalers. Very important to have the T-shirt, all right? Particularly important to have the stomach, sorry, you don't mind, hanging out over the trousers is very good. That's the sort of thing that you look for. Now, we haven't really explored this myth of Satanism, have we? So I went along to a club in Birmingham a few weeks ago to see what a band called Nocturne could tell me. I think you'll find this interesting. For the hard of hearing, there are subtitles. Watch this.
Whaley goes to town.
You shouldn't do that. That's bad. That's satanic. Now, this is it. We're going to go and find out whether these bands really are as bad as they're made out. In here, very important part of the equipment for heavy thrash or death metal. And you lot will need yours as well, so here, you share them out. These, of course, are earplugs. And I suggest none of you, however trendy you happen to think you are, go to one of these concerts without having these in case you need them. You can mould them into the shape of your own ears, very nice, and you just stick them in like that, and off you go. Easily done. Okay, and remember, none of that. Right. Your album and the music that you do is hailed as the nastiest, the most vicious music out of the moment. I think in your blurb it says, there are no Bible classes for these boys.
Well, we basically just like to shock people.
Yeah.
You know, horror is, and stuff like that has been something that people have gone and paid money to see to to get shocked. You know, they go to amusement parks or whatever. They go to haunted houses to get shocked. People like to be shocked because life is boring.
Now, you said on record, I believe, that you don't like religion. Is that right?
We think the world would probably be better just if they just believed in themselves.
Right.
But your album has a very satanic underlying feel to it. I mean,
If
there
you're
are
a
some.
Christian.
But Satanism in itself, though, is a religion, isn't it? That surely is just as bad as any other religion, if you're
Yes,
looking
but the main religion that would be, as far as we're concerned, causing the most damage or warping the most minds with the furthest influence would be Christianity. Satanism is a very small fraction. When you put it up against that, and as far as shocking people or alerting them, those are the people that need to sort of wake up and look to themselves. Satanists look to themselves every day.
But there are people. So are you Satanists?
No.
You're not a Satanist. You came pretty close to saying you were there. I mean, Lewis, are you
Close.
not?
Well, like it goes back to the fact of a Christian would consider us a Satanist.
Exactly.
But we just believe in ourselves. I mean, there's nobody that's going to buy our... I mean, God isn't going to buy our food, and Satan isn't going to buy our food for us. We are,
Now, Sean, I mean, look, Sean is so sort of, I mean, does any mother like to have him at home with her daughter? I mean, let's be honest.
I hope so.
Let me phrase that. I mean, do you worry about how some kids may be turned on to your music and do sort of things that would harm them? Do you worry about that at all?
Not really. It's like anything else. Everybody, we can't really control how everybody is going to take the music. You know what I'm saying? It's
You have to look to the parents.
But if they said sometime in the future, a couple of kids blew themselves away because of something they heard on a Nocturne's album, how would you feel about that?
Well, I'd say they had problems to begin with.
Yeah, I think, like Mike said, I'd say it's their parents. They probably weren't brought up to have self-respect.
When they grew up,
the kids just have problems or something. Cause
I mean, not everyone lives in a nice house and and has money and lives comfortably. There's a lot of people that don't have that.
If you tried to look for links to everybody's suicide, you'd have infinite possibilities.
Yeah, that's true.
It's ridiculous.
Now, one of the tracks on your album relates the story of going back to the time of Christ so that you could kill him or the baby in the manger. I mean, and you're grinning now, and I mean, listen, if you hadn't written that song, I probably wouldn't be interviewing you, so it's work.
If somebody did do that, or if that was destroyed, then maybe nobody would have started all this religion and people would have just thought for themselves to begin with.
Now, that was Nocturne, and they were really nice guys, I have to admit, but I couldn't understand a word of what they were singing. With me was Pastor Alex Maloney, who's here with me now. Hello, Alex.
Hi, James.
And you didn't put earplugs in, did you?
No.
Because you're an old hand at this sort of music.
I've heard quite a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, those guys didn't seem to me, I mean, we put subtitles so you could see what they were singing about, but those kids didn't seem to be able to hear what on earth they were talking about.
Well, I listened to the tape, and I mean, once you've listened to the tape 2 or 3 times, it becomes quite audible. But I don't think that's, you know, I mean, the thing that you've got there that came very much across, I felt, in the interview, was that we're not talking about guys who are dum-dums, you know, the typical image of the rock and roller who's so far out on drugs and booze he doesn't know what he's doing.
Listen,
we're
Alex,
dealing with very acute business people.
Are you telling me that these guys are really, that they're the instruments of evil?
They know exactly what they're doing.
And do you think they are Satanists?
Yes.
Because I just think they're playing along with a genre, to use the pop music journalist term, that they think will make them some money. I don't think they even think about Satanism.
I mean, they're using it to make money. I mean, that is the whole point. One of the major rules of Satanism is do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. In other words, it doesn't matter what you do, so long as it's for your own good.
You see, I would have thought the worst thing in there was the volume of that music, where nobody could hear. Their ears were actually being...
The volume was very, very loud, but I think if you follow the words that were coming across there, they were being spoken in the first person. The guys tended to try and put across a fantasy role, that if that could have happened, you know, and all the rest of it. But what was actually happening was the words were coming across in the first person. I have now waited for this confrontation. The Saviour is now fallen. And this is what we find with the whole satanic message, is they're talking about the nullity of Christ, that he's no good, he's, you know, and that Satan is the only one to follow.
Do you really believe this? I mean, Alex, are you just doing this to make yourself a bit of a personality, get yourself onto TV programs, or do you believe this?
I really do believe that there is a problem.
Look at me, Alex. I mean, you really do think this is a problem?
100%.
Yeah?
I think there is a real problem brewing. It's been brewing for the last 20 years, since Satanism started to creep into rock and roll, through groups like Led Zepp, who started using...
Led Zeppelin, my heroes when I was at school.
Well,
what are you doing?
know, they started to get involved in a technique which we're going to talk about later, backward masking, but then Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne started coming onto the scene, and it started to break new
Can't you just
realms.
believe that these guys are actually doing this to make themselves a lot of money, which I think is fine, okay, and they've got nothing to do with Satan. They're just hanging it on that hook.
I think what we have to look at is that when we're dealing in spiritual realms, those realms use whatever motive there is within the person. And what we've seen throughout the history of rock and roll, going right the way back in the mid-50s when Alan Freed first named it and it started to...
But that sort of rock and roll you wouldn't think was music of the devil, would you?
No. When we start looking at that, we find that what that was anti-authority, and it kicked against politics.
You're not
and
against
police.
anti-authority.
No. That's a perfectly natural expression. But what then started, that was earthly authority, but what then started to creep in was this kick against the supreme authority of God.
What about the Rolling Stones? Are they Satanists?
The Rolling Stones have had a flirtation with Satanism. When Brian Jones first started the Rolling Stones, he was heavily into the occult with Anita Pallenberg, and there was many, many connections. They started making records like Goat's Head Soup, their Satanic Majesty's Request. Mick Jagger appeared in a film called The Rise of My Brother the Devil.
Could you have rock music which isn't linked to Satanism or not?
Yes, there is a lot of good music out there and a lot of good musicians, but I think what we have to be careful of, not to generalise all rock music.
Let's take a couple of calls. Mike from Reading. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, as the pastor was saying, rock music, in a sense, isn't wrong.
Yeah. Do you think there is a satanic influence in some heavy music?
Well, I'm actually a heavy metal freak. But there again, I don't listen to bands like...
Thank you anyway. Nice to talk to you, Mike. Very boring, but thank you very much indeed. David from Hornsey, which is out on the sort of little eastern tip of the country. Yes, David.
Hello?
Yes, David, hello.
Right. My son got involved with listening to some tapes and told me that the backward masking was the in thing, so we modified a tape recorder to play them directly backwards.
Yeah.
Found it was quite true. Absolutely satanic. Totally evil.
OK, David, a little later on in the show tonight, we're actually going to be demonstrating this, so stay watching, and you're quite right. Do you think it had any bad effect on your son or not?
No, he's a Christian. It may have well done on other people.
OK, thank you very much indeed, David. Craig from Barnsley in Yorkshire. Hello, Craig.
Hello, James.
Yes, Craig.
I wonder if you could tell me how heavy metal got its name, why they call it heavy metal, and why they don't call soft metal light metal.
Do you know why it's called? I don't really care. To be honest, I couldn't give a stuff why it's called heavy metal, but I tell you, we have a couple of guys called the Bailey Brothers coming on later, and they'll be able to tell us.
I think, James, you might remember that the atmosphere gets very heavy. Some guys got very aggressive with you with that club in Birmingham. You know, the atmosphere with that type of music
so they get
is very heavy.
OK.
Yeah.
All right, OK. Thanks very much indeed. We're going to be talking to Alex again a little bit later on. I'm going to just walk out here and talk to some more of my friends. So can you hang on there for a few moments?
Sure.
You're
See you in
OK?
a minute,
Good.
James.
I don't suppose we have too much to worry about now with David Icke coming into the scene, do we?
No.
Good. OK, fine. I must bring that up a little bit later on. Come on. Right. Now, as I said, we'll take some more calls. Mr. Walters is over here, keeping the audience... has he been looking after you? Oh, for goodness sake. I get really... Has he been looking after you? Yeah. OK, fine. Fantastic. Right. How did heavy metal, before we ask the Bailey Brothers, how do you think heavy metal got its name?
I think it was a phrase that... Didn't William Burroughs, the writer who did Naked Luncheon, also thought of phrases like the soft machine and that sort of thing, and people just nicked the idea. Heavy metal. You know?
Bum, bum, Kerrang.
Kerrang.
Kerrang, yeah. Heavy metal is quite sexist in that they sort of... they drag their women around by the hair kind of feel sometimes, and they have a lot of very sort of...
Lots of this is made up, you know. I mean, when you look at the pages of Kerrang or Metal Hammer, what you find the worst thing they're doing is shaking up lager and opening it over girls.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
They do that in motor racing, don't they?
No,
but they use slightly more expensive...
Champagne. But it's not really very satanic to me, that.
Lisa over here. Lisa Dominique, of course, and her brother Marino, who plays in her band. Now, Lisa is a sort of one of the few lady heavy metal rock bands, sort of, and she's got it all there, sort of.
Of course.
I mean, how do the guys accept you?
Well,
that's a silly question. I wish I hadn't asked
that,
really.
I mean, to be honest, I don't find any problem about heavy metal.
No,
I think that it's... I mean, all this is over-exaggerated, you know. Yeah. When I do gigs, the kids come, they enjoy the shows a lot. I mean, I'm more rock and roll than heavy metal, but it's like we get like...
But he doesn't. He looks real heavy. Look at him.
Well, that's what you get, right?
Well, the thing is about the last band you had on was that they were crap. And
I have to agree with that. I don't know about you, John.
Well, John, the problem we've got is if you listen to Black Sabbath and bands like that, the first few albums Black Sabbath, the music was brilliant. So therefore, if it was connected with satanic music or whatever, well, it didn't really matter because the music was great. But these guys just can't play the crap, and then they're like.
So Lisa, I mean, you know,
you're
sort of you market yourself as a kind of heavy metaler, or you were to begin with. Are you saying that you're coming back from that a bit now? You're becoming more.
No, I've always been a rock and roll singer. I mean, that's me, you know. But I mean, I think all this thing about heavy metal is over exaggerated. I think the thing is about heavy metal and rock and roll is it's all about attitude.
You don't pray to the devil in quiet moments in your bedroom.
No, I don't. I mean, that doesn't turn me on, you know.
Doesn't it?
It doesn't turn me on, but I mean, the thing is, what you got to remember is these kids that go and see those shows are like teenagers. I mean, we've all been...
they might be influenced badly, you think, to some of these bands. So you're saying some of it is bad, aren't you?
No,
yeah,
I'm
you
not.
are.
No, I'm not, honestly,
Well, that last
James.
band was bad.
No, I mean, they might have been crap, but the fact of it is that if kids want to go and pay the money and they're curious, you know, at 16 and 17, you're curious about things. And it's like they're rebelling, you know, they just get a kick out of it. So what's wrong with that?
Let's ask our man, John, was that dangerous, those American guys?
Dangerous.
Yeah, I can't say
it's about as... I mean, look...
Just a minute, Lisa. I'm speaking to John.
Lisa. Yes.
You sit there. Right, go on.
No, I don't think and like Marino saying it's crap, and yet, like as you and I know as slightly older men, I mean, there's not that much difference between one sort of crap and another, is there? You know what I mean? It's all a bit the same kind of thing. Now, but you see, like this Lisa, you know, she is one. There are quite a few women in heavy metal, aren't there? It's not just you. There's quite a lot of them.
Actually, there is only me in the UK.
Yeah, but you look at her, and she doesn't actually look as if she's mad, bad, and dangerous to know, does she? She looks like a sort of failed air hostess, really. She's quite respectable.
Well, you're like Jonathan Ross on a bad night.
Just a minute. I was going to say that there's this wish. It's very difficult. I mean, the Nelson brothers. On a dark night, you know, you could be maybe tempted. I don't know. But there's this kind of transsexual thing in some of this rock music, isn't there? There's a long... I mean, look, not to be too rude, but Marino, he's got the long, lovely hair and the pretty face and everything else.
But that's what the girls want, isn't it?
I don't know what girls want these
I mean,
days.
let's face it, if you're a lead guitarist in a band...
For satanic chicks.
But it's true. If you're a lead guitarist in a band, they don't want to go and see some ugly...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to swear, but
Okay,
I mean,
listen,
you know.
just before we get into this, a quick competition, okay? We've got lots of things to give away. We've got a couple of the Marquee Metal album and CD, and we've got the Young Ones Demolition Bomb Sick, all right?
And some James Whale condoms,
And some
right?
James Whale condoms. This is the question. In which rock record was the phrase heavy metal first used? In which rock record was the phrase heavy metal first used? We'll give you the address to write to a little later, after the break.
Well done, James. Good.
Oh, dear me. Now, we only found out a few, well, about a day or so ago that we have a wonderful basement here at Whale Villas. And we thought, what better place for those people? I don't know if you go to the Marquee or if you've been to the Marquee in London, but I used to hang out there. This is pretty similar. It's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good, isn't it?
Very good.
Hi, nice to see you. Anyway, we thought we'd sort of throw a bit of a party and have a little look around the place. Can you have a little look around, Les? Have a little show them? Nice, isn't it? And we thought we'd have some live music for you on the show. We have the Almighty with us today. This is Ricky, right?
Hello.
Okay. It's pretty, I mean, you notice this, you've got to be, I have to tell you that I would love to have a pair of leather trousers. My body just wouldn't work, really.
No way.
This isn't satanic, is it, what we're going to hear now?
Well, very satanic. You've got to watch out for the backward messages the whole way through here.
You mean I've got to tape this, listen to it back afterwards and see?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's way over the top. I mean, the chap up there will be like crapping his knickers when he hears this, you know.
Oh, God, I hope not. Oh, God, I didn't mean to say that. All right, so you're on tour in the near future?
Doing some shows in Motorhead next week, yeah.
And this is your new single, comes out in 2 weeks?
April 22nd.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, the Almighty and...
Devil's Toy.
Take it away.
Between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Yeah, me. Can't hear a thing. Oh, dear. Trouble is... Thank you very much indeed. Did you enjoy that, ladies and gentlemen, the Almighty? Okay, good. Right. Everybody all right here? Dear me. Okay, well, we're cramming, as usual, far too much into the show, so shall I sit over here? Okay. So we'll get over to this now. Everybody's here. Alex.
Yes, James.
What was that all about?
Well, basic good rock. I mean, I know they mentioned the devil and all the rest of it, but what I don't want to get dragged into, and it's very easy to get dragged into, is what is Satanism and what is not Satanism.
Yeah.
You know, now, what is Satanism is denying Christ and glorifying Satan. Those guys don't do that.
That was
right?
the devil's drug or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all about
yeah.
the devil, though.
But what you're looking at is when
Yeah.
you look at Satanism in rock music, you're looking at the types of things that Slayer sing, the type of things that King Diamond sings, the type of things that Venom sing, where there is a total denial of Christ and a glorification of Satan.
You
Now-
know a lot about this, actually, don't you? When I think, I mean, you do really know quite a lot about this.
I've been doing this for about 6-7 years.
Now, over here, we haven't met before. These are the Bailey brothers. Say hello.
Hello.
Now, the Bailey
Hi,
brothers,
James.
apparently, they're well known in the heavy metal circuit. They do radio shows and TV shows, and they present heavy metal music. Is this true? I mean, are you sort of like high priests of Satanism or not?
Well, I think
And if so, I'm going to move along here just a little bit more.
I think everybody's
Move
had a
along
good,
here, James.
Everybody's had a good laugh at the expense of heavy metal tonight. I haven't heard any mention about the white metal bands such as Striper or the Christian rock magazines in America where they've tried to promote God and support God. And I think that everybody's had a good laugh at rock music tonight, but in general...
You should enjoy yourself with music, though, shouldn't you? I mean, I like the music.
But it's a stereotype, and because of this stereotype, there's no rock on radio in the daytime. We get no rock shows. We've got one rock show a week at 3:30 in the morning. And because you're listening to this guy talk about Satanism...
But don't lump rock and Satanism together because
but
you've
there's
got
so
two
many
different
different
veins.
but
and you
it's
should
so-
know
it's
that.
heavy metal. It's so
Yeah, well,
rock music.
Guys, I don't want to upset you too much,
It's
but
not
tonight
music.
we're talking about the link between heavy metal metal and Satanism at this particular
Well, the first
time.
band ever to talk about heavy metal was Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
In the very early 70s.
Yeah.
That's right. We spoke to Tony Iommi today. We was hoping to get a live link up with him on the telephone. He suggested that when they first started out, they used to have witches turning up at the gigs. They did
He was just conning everybody, was he?
Well,
is that what you're telling me?
It doesn't support.
We tried to ring him. He put his answer phone on. You said you were going to arrange that. Let me just demonstrate, guys, and talk us through this. Here's a bit of backmasking, okay? Now, the first bit of backmasking we've got. Let me play it for you the right way round first of all, and this is from Prince, I think. First of all, here's the words here. I don't know about you.
Where is it? That is the forward version.
I'm
Find
sorry
that
about
right on the end of Darling Nikki on Purple Rain.
Okay, now that was, hang on, that was the forward way. We reversed it. The backwards way has the words coming up on the bottom of the screen too. So you have a look over here and we'll be able to see. Here we go. This is actually what they were singing about. Here.
You have got to be joking.
This is just...
There we are. That was that's fine. I don't know which I liked best really, but that was
Well, about satanic, it was diabolical.
So
that was Prince.
Since when's Prince been a heavy metal band?
Okay, well,
that's what I
let's
want to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, but you see,
I mean, the thing is,
try. Hang on
excuse
just a
me,
minute. Let's try Venom. Let's try Venom. Now, Venom is definitely heavy metal.
Serious.
This is it.
Serious. This is serious metal.
This is forwards. The words won't come up, John, until we go backwards.
I've already recognised this.
Yeah, well, very understandable. I mean, there's no problem there. Here comes it reversed, OK? This is the backwards way, and coming up on your screen will be the words. Here we go. Are you ready? Here we are. OK, I wonder if, before we do anything else, I can go to that call with Richard Crowe. Is Richard there? On the line. Hello, Richard.
Yes, hello, James.
Now, Richard, we're talking to you live from Chicago tonight, right?
That's correct.
Now, when there is a problem, a satanic crime, as it were, in Chicago, the Chicago Police Department send for Richard Crowe, am I right?
I've worked with a number of various police departments, not so much the departments officially, but with various individuals on various departments who trust me and call me in and ask my advice.
Now, is there a real problem with this sort of thing, heavy metal and Satanism and backmasking and stuff like that? Tell me about it.
I'm not too sure about the backmasking aspect of it, but there certainly is a constant growth in the satanic activity among teenage groups. In fact, there is a West Suburban Police Department, this is quite ironic, a West Suburban Police Department along the Des Plaines River, just west of Chicago. And right across the river, it's out of their jurisdiction, but right across the river and on the bridge connecting the police station basically with the Forest Preserve across, there are constant animal sacrifices, there are various pentagrams and various satanic signs and ciphers painted on the ground and painted on the bridge and so on. And it's within, they could look out the back window and see this, but the police don't want to get involved and they just let it go.
So they call you in and you have to do something about it.
Well, in other words, no, this is something they can tolerate. It's only animal sacrifices. It's only when something more serious comes along do you get the press, do you get the headlines, do you get the active involvement of the police.
So, Richard,
there's so much going on that the police often ignore 90% of what goes on.
Is it true to say, Richard, then, that the heavy metal music or this kind of music with a satanic theme in it is actually encouraging kids to do things that they're not really sure what they are actually doing?
Yeah, I'm sure that the overt message of heavy metal often gets certain teenagers to do different things. Whether the backmasking is really that effective in converting these kids, I don't know, because they don't have to listen to it backwards. They're already getting the message, full front here from the overt.
Richard, because TV works this way, we've run out of time. Thank you very much indeed for your call. I'm sorry about that. And we're going to play some music out. We're going to have to do a part 2 of this show because we haven't really got into it, have we, John, to be quite honest?
No, we haven't.
This is a bit of classic metal, OK? This is Metallica and One right here. Have a nice weekend. We're back next week looking at the new man. A bit like John Walters and me, really, when you think about it. Have a nice weekend from all of us indeed. Good night. Metallica.